Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Kansas City's 2018 NFL Draft Class based on analytics. And in this video, we're going to go through every single selection that the Kansas City Chiefs made in terms of this draft class and look at them through the eyes of production and athleticism data in order to determine how good they could possibly be in the future based on many draft classes. So if you're new to the channel and new to the work that I do, all terms and definitions will be in the description. The basic way to explain what I'm doing is essentially I'm looking at what past players performed in terms of data to what they are now and what this draft class looks like compared to those past players. With all this stuff out of the way, let's get to the first pick of the draft in terms of Breeland Speaks, interior defensive lineman out of Mississippi. When you look at his production data, he had a 71.50 solo tackle score, 91.63 sack score, and a 65.56 tackle for loss score. Doesn't quite hit the All-Pro threshold or Pro Bowl threshold when you look at him compared to 3-4 DNs, but definitely pretty darn close, well above what the starter threshold is in terms of the bottom end threshold. Based on the averages at the position, he looks closer to a starter than he does a All-Pro / Pro Bowl player, but not terrible production. Definitely decent all-around production for Breeland Speaks. Then, of course, when you look at his athleticism traits, he had a 58.33 explosive lower body strength score, 76.95 speed score, and a 48.88 flexibility score. It doesn't quite look like a all-pro player because of his explosion score, but definitely looks like a Pro Bowl player based on his athleticism traits. I think in many ways when you look at Speaks, you're looking at a guy that has pretty good production, pretty good athleticism traits, and has a pretty good shot to become a successful NFL player. So as far as like high-end upside, it may be less likely because of just lacking in a couple things here and there, but definitely has a good shot to at least become a successful NFL player in some capacity. Then, of course, we get to Derrick Nnadi, nose tackle out of Florida State. When you look at his production data, he had an 80.84 solo tackle score, 68.68 sack score, and 77.14 tackle for loss score. Definitely hits all the thresholds in terms of Pro Bowl potential as a nose tackle prospect, and definitely above the starter threshold as well. When you look at the averages at the position, he's definitely he looks a little bit closer to a starter than an All-Pro / Pro Bowl player when you look at the averages, but definitely pretty solid all-around production. And when you look at his athleticism traits, 49.06 in terms of explosiveness, 28.81 in terms of speed, and 14.32 in terms of flexibility for his size. Doesn't quite have All-Pro / Pro Bowl potential athleticism traits, but does have starter potential. I think in many ways when you're looking at Derrick Nnadi, you're looking at a guy that has a good chance to become a long-term starting nose tackle, but just not a high-quality nose tackle based on the overall data. Then, of course, you get to Dorian O'Daniel, linebacker out of Clemson. When you look at his production data, he had a 64.04 solo tackle score, which doesn't hit the All-Pro threshold or Pro Bowl threshold, but does hit at least above the starter threshold. When you look at the average score of 79.20, he's definitely below what that average is. And athleticism trait-wise, not the best, 20.08 in terms of explosiveness, 59.36 in terms of speed, and 95.42 in terms of flexibility traits. So he has one really fantastic trait in terms of balance / flexibility for his size, but just lacks speed and explosiveness. So overall, not a terrible profile. Definitely can become a long-term starter, but high upside is just not exactly on the table for him because of his production data and because of his lack of athleticism traits and explosiveness and in terms of speed. Then, of course, we get to Armani Watts, defensive safety out of Texas A&M. When you look at his production data, he had a 99 solo tackle score, 95.90 interception score, and a 62.68 pass deflection score. When you look at the averages at the position, he looks closer to a starter than he does a Pro Bowl or All-Pro player because of how low his pass deflection data is. When you look at the bottom end thresholds, though, definitely looks like a Pro Bowl player. When you look at the bottom end thresholds, hits all the marks you need to hit in terms of solo tackle, interception, and pass deflection data. In terms of athleticism data, 63.53 in terms of explosiveness, 85.65 in terms of speed, and 42.80 in terms of flexibility for his size. Doesn't exactly look like an All-Pro or Pro Bowl player based on his overall athleticism traits, but definitely looks like a starter. I think in many ways Armani Watts has a good shot to become a long-term starting safety, just not necessarily a high-quality like an All-Pro / Pro Bowl safety. Then, of course, you get to Tremon Smith, cornerback out of Central Arkansas. When you look at his athleticism traits, he had a 69.09 explosive lower body strength score, 98.28 speed score, and a 84.65 flexibility score. fantastic athleticism traits. Production-wise, I didn't really include production with him because he played at a lower level competition, so I didn't want to compare FCS production to FBS production in terms of projection. But still, great athleticism traits. I think there's a very good shot that he can become a long-term starter or better because of his athleticism traits. And then the final player of the draft class is Reginald McKenzie, offensive guard out of Tennessee. Looking at his athleticism traits at the guard spot, 73.99 in terms of explosiveness, 59.03 in terms of speed, and 47.40 in terms of flexibility for his size. Doesn't quite hit the average All-Pro score, Pro Bowl score. Does hit kind of close to the starter score. The biggest issue he has is just a lack of flexibility with this testing, but does have a chance to become a long-term starter. He is a guy who played mostly nose tackle at Tennessee, but we'll ultimately see what happens with him. He's definitely a very intriguing pick for Kansas City because of some other sort of things here and there. But overall, when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs draft class, I'm just gonna be honest. Based on looking at previous draft classes up to this point, it's not that fantastic. There definitely are some players here that have a chance to become long-term starters. Breeland Speaks, Nnadi, Watts, O'Daniel, Tremon Smith, in fact, all the players in this class definitely have a good shot to become long-term starters, but there's not a lot of high-quality upside here. There's not a lot of players that have great athleticism and great production in this entire draft class. So at least great FBS production. So from that standpoint, that's the only issue that this class has. Is there's definitely a lot of players that could become long-term starters, but there's a lot of there's just a lack of that firepower, that oomph to it, which I think is the biggest sort of issue with it. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about this Kansas City Chiefs draft class? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Where do you think they could have improved? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace!